Before we begin, a necessary disclaimer. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it is not intended to replace professional diagnosis or treatment. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance use, please seek help from a qualified healthcare provider. Your brain is a prediction machine. Every thought, every emotion, every decision you make is the result of chemical signals moving between neurons. Substances work by hijacking this system. They don't create new pathways. They exploit the ones already there. And once you understand how, the psychology of addiction stops being a mystery and starts being a predictable pattern. Let's count down 7 substances, from the ones that borrow your brain chemistry to the ones that steal it entirely. Number 7. Caffeine. Caffeine doesn't give you energy. That's the first thing to understand. What it actually does is block adenosine, a neurotransmitter that builds up throughout the day and tells your brain it's time to sleep. Adenosine is your brain's natural brake pedal. Caffeine takes that brake pedal away. The result? Your neurons fire faster. Dopamine and norepinephrine circulate more freely. You feel alert, focused, motivated. But here's the psychological trap. Over time, your brain adapts by creating more adenosine receptors. Now you need caffeine just to feel normal. Without it, those extra receptors scream for adenosine, and you get headaches, fatigue, brain fog. This is called neuroadaptation, and it's the same mechanism behind every substance on this list. The brain doesn't distinguish between coffee and cocaine when it comes to this principle. It simply adjusts to the new normal. Number 6. Alcohol. Alcohol is classified as a depressant, but the psychology is more complicated. It first suppresses the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, and self-monitoring. That's why the first drink feels like freedom. Your inner critic goes quiet. Social anxiety fades. But alcohol also triggers a dopamine release in the reward center and simultaneously enhances GABA, the brain's main calming neurotransmitter, while blocking glutamate, which normally keeps you alert. This combination creates that warm, everything is fine feeling. The psychological cost comes later. When alcohol wears off, your brain overcorrects. Glutamate surges back, GABA drops, and you're left more anxious than before you started. This is called the rebound effect. And if you drink regularly, your brain starts associating alcohol with relief from anxiety that alcohol itself created. That's the cycle. Pause for a moment. Notice the pattern already forming. Caffeine borrows alertness, and you pay it back with exhaustion. Alcohol borrows calm, and you pay it back with anxiety. Every substance on this list follows the same rule. It gives you something your brain already produces, then charges interest. Number 5. Nicotine. Nicotine is the fastest-acting substance on this list. Inhaled, it reaches the brain in 7 seconds, faster than an intravenous injection. It binds to nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, triggering a flood of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin simultaneously. The psychological mechanism here is particularly insidious. Nicotine creates brief moments of genuine cognitive enhancement, sharper focus, better memory recall, faster reaction time. Your brain learns, this substance makes me better. But within 20 minutes, half the nicotine is gone. The come-down begins. Irritability, restlessness, craving. Here's the key insight. Nicotine withdrawal mimics the symptoms of hunger. Your brain processes the craving in the same neural circuits. That's why quitting feels like starving, not because your body needs nicotine, but because your brain has reclassified it as essential. The addiction isn't chemical, it's neurological. Number 4. Cannabis. Cannabis works differently from everything we've covered. Instead of mimicking a neurotransmitter, THC mimics anandamide, a molecule your brain produces naturally. Anandamide comes from the Sanskrit word ananda, meaning bliss. It's involved in mood regulation, memory, appetite, and pain perception. When THC binds to cannabinoid receptors, it overactivates them. Time perception distorts because your brain's internal clock, located in the cerebellum, is dense with these receptors. Short-term memory falters because the hippocampus, your memory center, is also packed with them. The psychological risk of cannabis is subtle. Because it directly activates the brain's relaxation system, frequent use teaches your brain that relaxation requires external input. Your natural anandamide production downregulates. So without cannabis, everything feels slightly more stressful, slightly less interesting, slightly duller. It doesn't destroy your motivation. It just quietly lowers your baseline for feeling okay. Number 3, MDMA. MDMA floods the brain with serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for mood, sleep, appetite, and social bonding. It also releases oxytocin, the same chemical that strengthens the bond between mother and child. This combination creates an experience that feels like pure empathy. Walls come down, emotional wounds feel healed, strangers feel like family. But the psychological danger of MDMA isn't the high, it's the come down. MDMA depletes serotonin so completely that your brain needs days, sometimes weeks, to replenish it. During that window, the same neural circuits that process physical pain also process emotional pain. That post-MDMA sadness isn't just a mood. It's your brain running on empty. Used repeatedly, MDMA can damage serotonin axon terminals. These are the physical structures that transport serotonin between neurons. The damage can be long-lasting. And once those pathways are compromised, natural happiness becomes harder to reach. Not because your life got worse, but because the infrastructure of joy in your brain has been damaged. Number 2, cocaine. Cocaine blocks the dopamine transporter, the protein that normally recycles dopamine after it's been used. The result is a dopamine flood. But unlike natural rewards that raise dopamine by maybe 100%, cocaine raises it by 300 to 400%. Your brain is not designed for that intensity, so it adapts. It removes dopamine receptors. Now you need more cocaine to feel the same effect. And ordinary pleasures, food, conversation, achievement, stop registering. They can't compete with a 400% spike. This is where the psychology turns dark. Cocaine doesn't just create craving, it rewires your memory system. The brain records the drug experience as more important than anything else, survival-level importance. And every time you use it, the memory strengthens. Even after years of sobriety, a single cue, a place, a smell, a song, can trigger the cascade. Number 1, opioids. Opioids are in a category of their own. They don't just boost your existing neurotransmitters, they mimic endorphins, your body's natural painkillers, and bind to opioid receptors throughout the brain and body. The result isn't pleasure in the dopamine sense. It's the absence of pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, existential pain. For someone in genuine suffering, opioids feel like being saved. That's what makes them uniquely dangerous. They don't make you feel high, they make you feel whole. But opioids also act on the brainstem, the part that controls automatic functions like breathing. Take too much, and your brain simply stops telling your lungs to work. The line between relief and respiratory arrest is thinner than most people understand. Withdrawal from opioids is not just psychologically painful. It's physically torturous because your body has outsourced its entire pain management system to an external chemical. Without the drug, every nerve fires unfiltered. And the psychological toll is even heavier. Opioids rewire your brain's survival hierarchy, teaching it that the drug is as essential as water, not metaphorically, biologically. Here's what connects every substance on this list. They all exploit the same vulnerability in your brain, the gap between what you feel and what you want to feel. Caffeine fills the gap between tired and alert. Alcohol fills the gap between anxious and calm. Opioids fill the gap between suffering and peace. The psychology of addiction isn't about the substance, it's about the gap. And the size of the gap isn't determined by the drug, it's determined by everything that came before it: the trauma, the stress, the loneliness, the pain. Substances don't create addicts, they exploit vulnerabilities that already exist. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're struggling, please reach out to a professional. Understanding the psychology is the first step. But healing takes more than knowledge. It takes support. Thank you for watching.